Hello everyone, I'm Dan Filgreen, and this is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, October 15th. On today's show, Tim Stephenson tells us how to prepare for being suddenly single. We'll also enjoy a What's Cooking special as Ruth Deuber and Dede prepare for Oktoberfest. But first, we want to remind you about this morning's Get to Know Your Neighbor event. Did you attend an Ivy League school? Just to refresh your memory, we're talking about Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Penn, Columbia, Brown, Dartmouth, and Cornell. If you or a family member attended or taught at these schools, or even if you live nearby, then come exchange some stories with fellow New Englanders. Our Get to Know Your Neighbor Ivy League event happens at 10:15 a.m. in the Social Center on the island. Today is also the final day to donate to the Bakeless Bake Sale, the once-a-year fundraiser for the Larson Pavilion Auxiliary. They offer so many unique touches in the building, from maintaining wheelchairs to accompanying residents to activities and meals, even delivering the mail. They can't do all of this without your donation, so be sure to drop off your dough for the Bakeless Bake Sale at either service desk. Here at Shell Point, we must deal with certain life situations that are unique to older people. When a spouse dies, the other spouse becomes suddenly single. A woman who is now a widow might have never even balanced a checkbook before, much less dealt with estate plans or insurance. There's a lot that you need to know if you were ever to become suddenly single, and that's where our Legacy Foundation comes in. They joined forces with Finemark Bank to offer a seminar called Suddenly Single, and got a huge response. So we're repeating this seminar, and this time opening it up to the general public. Suddenly Single happens tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. Here's a preview.
Hello, everyone. I'm Terry Colette, and I'm here today with Timothy Stephenson, Executive Director of the Legacy Foundation. And we're talking about the next Legacy Seminar in the Academy, Suddenly Single, Part 2. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Terry.
So we had Part 1. At the time, we didn't know it was a Part 1. You gave this program, and it was so successful. People wanted more.
Yeah, last spring we gave a Suddenly Single seminar with the friends at Finemark Bank, and our reception was overwhelming.
Yeah.
People really seemed to appreciate the dialogue. It was a panel, and they seemed to really appreciate the dialogue, and so we were talking about what we wanted to do in a seminar for the fall, and the guys at Finemark said, let's do Suddenly Single. So here we go again.
That's fabulous. Now, why do you think this is so important to look at this information on a topic, suddenly single? I mean, it could happen to anyone at any time, right?
Yeah, it really can. And of course, we see it a number of ways. Sometimes I find myself, maybe I was not the person in the relationship that did most of the decision making, but the one who was is now either incapacitated or ill, or for some reason maybe they've passed, and now that responsibility falls to me. And so there are a lot of things that I have to deal with at a time when I may not want to deal with them. And then, of course, other times I may be the one who is a little more of the forward in the decision-making process, but all of a sudden I realize that I'm being called upon to make decisions that I never realized I would face. And so having that kind of a dialogue that says, now, maybe this is something that you may face, so that you don't feel that you're alone, so that you don't feel like you're the only one, and that there are actually people out there who can help you walk through those kinds of issues.
And you'll show that in this program. You'll also show that it makes a lot of sense to consider things ahead of time.
Oh, correct.
Before you get in this position, because as you say, the position is a little bit more than we could imagine it would be, to be suddenly single.
So much of our day and of those of other similar professionals has to do with helping one another anticipate what is coming, because it's one of those things where a little investment up front in the thinking process, sometimes with the right documents, maybe with the right help, maybe with the right relationships, can pay huge emotional and practical dividends in a time of trouble.
Absolutely. And as always, you are bringing us people that you think are the people you know will be right to share this information with us? Who's going to join
Let's call it the cream of the crop.
All right.
How's that?
That sounds like it.
Yeah, obviously I've invited, the Legacy Foundation plays host, but I've invited our friends from Finemark Bank to come and be the primary presenters, and that will include Dennis Landfried and then our own Tiffany Williams here from the local office. Joined by that will be attorney Michael Hill, and then I will also complete the panel, so that we'll have several of us who deal with these issues on a professional basis. And I think just as importantly, we know and love Shell Point residents, and the kinds of things that we all have to walk through on a day-to-day basis, and have some dialogue as a panel, plenty of time for questions, plenty of time for interaction as we take this topic just a little farther than we were able to do in 1 hour.
Fabulous. You don't have to have attended part 1 to get a lot out of part 2. Correct. But if you came to part 1, this is even more information.
All of our seminars hopefully kind of build on each other through the years, but also they're all designed to stand alone and be sufficient in and of itself. So no, you don't have to have come to the earlier ones, and of course there may be some overlap in the kinds of questions that come up. We have new people, we have people that maybe didn't get to the last one. So we will pick up a few topics that we think are important, and then throw it open and dialogue with those who come.
And building on the information in the past is one of the wonderful reasons we are so grateful to have the Legacy Seminars in our Academy of Lifelong Learning to give us this focus on things that matter ahead of time.
Thanks. That's what we do.
Thank you so much, Timothy. Please join Timothy Stephenson and the panel he has assembled, the cream of the crop, to look at Suddenly Single, Part 2, Wednesday morning, the Grand Cypress Room, 10 o'clock. All are welcome, but we appreciate a call at either service desk so we know that we have the right amount of coffee and cookies.
Well, folks, we're midway through October, which means you should prepare your stomach for some bratwurst and sauerkraut. Oktoberfest is coming to Shell Point tomorrow night at the Crystal Room. You'll enjoy the best of German food, decor, and live musical entertainment. It all happens tomorrow from 4 to 7 p.m. in the Crystal Room on the island. Of course, you can make your own German feast if you're feeling brave enough, and we have just the people to show you how. Ruth Deuber and Dede Darcy taught an academy class about creating a feast of bratwurst, sauerkraut, and German potatoes. It proved so popular that we filmed it for broadcast here on Shell Point TV. So here it is, folks. What's cooking German style?
Willkommen! Wie geht's? Today is a very special show. In a way, it is sort of an apology to all of those that did not get to go to the Academy that was on the 4th of October. We're going to start with the main dish here, which is the bratwurst. And I'm going to take you over and we're going to do sort of the end of the recipe before we get into how it's made. So if Dan can follow me over here. This recipe has already been in a 400-degree oven for about 35 minutes. And this last step is to put a little bit of butter on the top, and then it will go back in the oven for another 20 minutes. So I wanted you to see this final step because we won't be able to go through it all. But this will be ready for us to sample. So this goes back in the 400-degree oven. So I don't forget about it. Alrighty. Now the ingredients for this, the main ingredient, of course, is your sauerkraut and onions, sliced thin. I'll just take the cover off of that.
Ruth, did you rinse the sauerkraut? Did you rinse
That is very important. Thank you, Dede. I forgot to say that. It's very important that you rinse the sauerkraut and drain it. If you don't, you're going to have a bitter taste to it. There's some special seasoning in it, and that is caraway seed and fennel seed. Now what you want to do is crush the seeds And then it calls for 1 tablespoon of flour. And the flour that we use is Wondra, not regular flour. So I'm going to put that in with the flour. You can use either a 7 by 11 pan, or you can use a 9-inch square pan. And for your first layer, what you're going to do first is you're going to take about 1/3 or so of this flour mixture, and then you're going to layer thinly sliced onions. It says 1/2 of a large sweet onion.
And they've already been peeled and cored.
And on this layer of onions, we're going to take another 1/3. I don't think that has to be too exact. And now we're going to take 1/2 of our apples.
Madame?
There.
But I'll have to ask
Okay.
our son now, when you address something like a male, like Mr. and Mrs., is it
Yeah.
hare and heron?
This is your brats, your bratwurst, and I prefer the Johnsonville. I think on the recipe I say Johnson, but it is Johnsonville. And it's the original bratwurst. You can see this is a very important step in your brats, and that is to pierce them. We want to get them pierced all the way around. And we'll just tuck the rest of these apples around the brats. This is 1/2 cup of beef broth, or you can use apple cider. And it calls for a tablespoon either of vermouth or of dry white wine, or you can just add a little bit more of the beef broth. And then it calls for a tablespoon of catsup. So this is going to get poured over there. And it calls for a bay leaf. We'll just tuck that right in there. And we want to cover it tightly with Reynolds wrap. Make sure it is sealed very tightly. And this will bake in the 400-degree oven, let's say for 35 minutes.
We're also doing the German Kartoffel salad, which is the German potato salad, which we're all pretty familiar with. It calls for heat to boiling, 2 tablespoons of water, and 1/4 cup of cider vinegar, which I have right here. 1/4 teaspoon salt. And 1/16 teaspoon paprika. Well,
How about a shake?
yeah, I think that's good. Ooh, well, we might have a little bit more. And 2 tablespoons of dry mustard. The recipe doesn't call for bacon grease. And then while this heats up, we'll go back and assemble. And Ruth has gone ahead and cooked our 3 medium potatoes, peeled and sliced, and they're still warm. Now, I think, Ruth, don't you think that if you wanted to do this ahead of time, you could go ahead and do it and just quickly zap them in the microwave?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, so if you're doing this ahead for a party, go ahead.
Way ahead of time.
Way ahead of time. And then we have to add 2 strips of bacon, minced and cooked, and 2 tablespoons of chopped onion, and 1/2 cup of chopped dill pickle. Now, this is not pickle relish. Pickle relish is usually sweet.
It's sweet.
It's a sweet.
No, these are regular dill pickles.
Dill pickles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is something that I used at home for both my onions and my dill pickles, and Ruth has one too. This is at Publix. It's relatively inexpensive. It is so easy to use. And for things like this, it makes chopping a breeze. The only trick, because it is small, is you want to go ahead and cut your pieces, you know, an inch piece or so. And I cut my dill pickles in, I had little midget dill pickles, so I cut them in 2 or 3 pieces. And then the other trick is that you don't just run it constantly, you pulse it. And by pulsing it, the bigger stuff falls down so that you don't just mush everything together. Voila. 2 tablespoons chopped celery. So there's 1. 2. Okay, and then I'm just going to mix this up a little bit before we add our hot dressing that's been over on the stove. If we made this ahead of time, you'd add the bacon at the last so it wouldn't get too soggy. Oh, perfect timing.
How about that?
All right, there we have our German potato salad.
Brats mit Äpfel.
Ooh, they look good.
Oh,
wait till you see these.
There they are. They're the onions and the apples. Everything have cooked through.
That butter really adds a lot. If you're thinking about cholesterol and diet and stuff like that, you probably oughtn't to eat German food.
That's right.
But if you only do it every once in a while, because it is full of wonderful, tasty things.
We've got some chunks of bread, and I'm actually going to do a little Kerrygold garlic and herb butter. And this makes a nice little spread. And for dessert, we served Bavarian cream. This is Ellen and Larry Crouch's recipe for Bavarian cream, and that is already up on the website. And then you've got to have a little snickerdoodle with Bavarian cream. The sausage is going to be pretty hot, but I'm just going to taste a little bit of the sauerkraut.
I take a little bit of the potato salad.
You going to join me?
I will, but I'm going to make sure that it's cool.
Okay.
That's very good.
Well, we like it really well. Thank you so much for letting us come into your home and show you about our Oktoberfest. Hopefully next year, if we do something like this again, have to remind you, you got to sign up the week you get your Academy booklet.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you look for the recipes on www.shellpoint.net. Goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. Bye-bye.
If you love eating German food, but would rather let someone else do the cooking, then we've got the event for you. The Crystal Room is hosting its own Oktoberfest, with the best in German food, decor, and live musical entertainment. It all happens tomorrow from 4 to 7 p.m. in the Crystal Room on the island. As for today's events, let's get a complete lineup from Resort Services. Then stay tuned for your Academy news, menus, and Village Church connections.
Hi, and welcome to the Happenings segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley, and I'm here with Mary Franklin, and we're going to go over today's activities with you. We start out bright and early at 7:15 this morning with the Health Connections class. This class is Bend, Breathe, and Balance. That'll be in the Health Club on the island. At 8 o'clock, we have the Ladies Golf Association group. They'll be at the Shell Point Golf Club. At 8 o'clock, the Round Robin Men's Doubles Tennis will be going on at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. At 8:15, the Stamp Ministry will be going on. This will be down in the Stamp Room on the island. At 8:30, we have bocce played at the Woodlands Bocce Court. And then at 9 o'clock, we have a Susie Q trip to the Dolphin and Sightseeing Tour. Sign up is required. 9:15, the Caregiver Support Group Therapy and Memory Care Group will be at the second floor of the Rehab Center. Sign up is required. 9:15, we have open painting down in the art studio. That's in the tunnel. We also have at 9:15 shuffleboard. That'll be played on the shuffleboard court back behind the Resident Activities Center. At 9:30, we have a match play mixed doubles tennis down at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. And at 9:45, we have women's Bible study. That'll be held at the Village Church. We move to 10:15, where Do You Know Your Neighbor? Ivy League schools will be in the social center. So if you've gone to an Ivy League school, or maybe your spouse did, head to the social center and chat it up. At 10:15, we have Through the Bible study group in the Osprey Room. At 10:30, we have the Caregiver Support Group Therapy and Memory Care Group on the second floor of the Rehab Center. On the island, sign up is required. The Susie Q heads out at 11 o'clock for Rum Runners for lunch. Sign up is required for that. And then we have our last morning activity. It's at 11:45. We have Health Connections class, Living Healthy, and that'll be in the Osprey room. Mary's up next for the afternoon.
Well, Bev, we start off at 12:30 with mixed progressive bridge being played in the game room of the Woodlands. And your 1:15 options for today are Knitters Group in the Osprey room, the Rollicking Recorderist in the Tarpon room, and the Women's Ministry Prayer Group in the Hospitality room. 1:30 is time for the Stamp Ministry volunteers to be gathering in the Sable rooms at the Woodlands. And at 2:45 we have Balance and Mobility Training Level 2 in the Health Club on the island, and it is currently closed. That wraps up your Tuesday, but make sure to leave room for dinner tomorrow night because at the Crystal Dining Room from 4 to 7, it's Oktoberfest Wednesday evening. We hope to see you there.
Hi, I'm Terry Colath with your Academy information for Tuesday, October 15th. At 9:15, After Prep School Basics continues in the Computer Teaching Center on the island. At 10 o'clock, The Story of India, Session 5, meets in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands, and sign-up is required. You can sign up right at the door. At 10:15, Apple iPad, Why Do I Need One?, will continue in the Manatee Room on the island. And at noon, core pickup begins on the island for Academy on the Go trip to Star Ranch Alpaca Farm. At 1 o'clock, e-reader Apple iPad continues in the Oak Room at the Woodlands, and at 1:15, storytelling continues in the Manatee Room on the island. I'd like to tell you about a couple new classes tomorrow. We have the Legacy Seminar number 2, Suddenly Single Part 2. And then we have a Technology Today and Tomorrow class, iPad, note-taking and drawing apps with Bruce Findlay of Sundial. I'd also like to tell you that we have a couple of opportunities in our Pavilion Auxiliary, and to say that if you're one of the 250 wonderful auxiliary volunteers needing your annual orientation update, Friday, the 25th, is one of only 2 opportunities remaining yet this year. So don't wait. Sign up. Look for the back page of your weekly reminder for sign-up information.
Menus for Tuesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is sweet and sour chicken with jasmine rice and sugar snap peas. For dinner, the special is the Pan Fresh Night for $11.95, and the soup of the day is navy bean. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Tuesday, enjoy a turkey, Swiss, and bacon panini with a side salad for $7.25. The dinner special is char-grilled Caribbean pork with beans and rice and fresh fruit for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Tuesday are barbecue shrimp for $13.95 or New York strip for $17.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
It's a joy to welcome you today to Village Church Connections, and a real joy for me to be here with Priscilla Waltz. Priscilla, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I see your shoebox sitting here, yes. And it's hard for me to believe that we're already in the middle of October and we're talking about shoeboxes.
That's right.
But we are. Village Church has participated for a number of years now in Operation Christmas Child, packing shoeboxes to send overseas. Tell us a little bit about that ministry.
It was started in 1993, and that first year they collected 28,000 shoeboxes, and they were sent to Bosnia.
Okay.
Because that was the time of the war over there, and that was kind of how it got started. And then that was in 93, and by 97, over 1.5 million boxes were collected. So the idea of it really caught on. And in 2012, over 9 million boxes were collected and distributed. And also, during the year 2012, over 100 million total boxes had been distributed.
Wow.
And to me, the thrilling part of that is each one of those gets a pamphlet, a little booklet for the child that tells them the basic way of salvation, introduces them to Jesus, and so it's a wonderful ministry.
And you've been involved with this for a number of years. Last year, how many boxes did we pack as a church and Shell Point community?
We only packed 329 boxes, But this year, we're going to do much better than that.
We're taking a leap of faith here, and we have asked for 400 of these boxes.
Yes.
And we are hoping that we can pack all 400 of those and send them out from this community.
I'd like people who packed one box last year, if they would consider the possibility of packing 2 boxes this year.
Okay.
And if that's the case, then we ought to be able to really meet our goal of at least 400 boxes.
We also have one other thing coming up, and that is we've got 400 of these boxes to put together.
That's right. Yeah.
And we usually have a party. We enjoy doing it. Tell us when that's going to take place.
Well, it's going to be on Thursday, October 17th.
Okay.
Between 9:30 and 11. And many hands make light work.
And we'll be kind of demonstrating how to fold them and how to put them together. And usually we get some assembly lines going, and we just laugh and have a good time as we do it.
And this year, we have one little thing that's going to be different. In each of the boxes, when they're folded, there will be 2 big rubber bands put in the boxes, because when we finish them and turn them in, they're supposed to have the rubber bands around them, not tied, not covered, but with the rubber bands on them.
That's great. And then they'll be able to pick up these boxes to fill anytime after that Thursday, the 17th. Thank you, Priscilla. We sure appreciate your involvement in this ministry, and we invite you to participate as well. Pick up a box and fill it, and if you're available on Thursday, October the 17th, come and join us as we put together 400 boxes for the glory of God. Thank you, and have a wonderful day today.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow as Mackenzie Millis reveals the 10 questions that determine if assisted living is right for you. And our newest fitness instructor, Craig Norling, introduces us to a balance class that's perfect for people in assisted living or independent. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, October 15th. I'm Dan Philgreen, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.